Hindi ka pa nagpalit dyan. Good morning, Beth. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, Giselle.
Hi. It's early. I'm sorry. We do this every Thursday, every Friday at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I know, because like Joe Cruz would be sleeping in a while if you don't do it this early, right?
That's it. So we're trying to catch, well, the East Coast, and then in Midwest, and then West Coast. But the ones we can't catch at this time is yung Europe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Beth, it's really amazing how IT is moved forward. It's forged forward. Kasi, well, in a way, maganda. May focus talaga kayo eh. No? So, I'm curious whether in EIP there's like a research group or a development group focused on agri-manufacturing equipment. Maybe the well the new age of agri mechanization and robotics, maybe for specialized products. Kasi I think that's where we need help for our farmers in the regions or the co-ops. And well, even in the lab, in our research groups, sometimes there are some equipment that we think should already be manufactured here, but we import them, and they're so expensive. But anyway,
Yeah.
if the IP will grow the kind of expertise, I think it will really be great to spur local production.
Giselle?
Yes.
Yeah. We are not yet into like looking into the manufacturing of such devices, although are for the farmers. Although we do have projects involving farmers. Like we have a project where you can tell the maturity of the cacao pod.
Yes.
Through some technology. That's one example of an agricultural related project. Giselle, can I practice with you about my screen sharing? Will you enable multi-screen sharing, or will you enable multi-hosting?
I'll make you a co-host.
Okay? Yeah.
Right.
And then if I may practice, because from my end, I cannot hear my video. Yeah, so I would like to practice now with you. May I just very short?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Here, make your co-host so you can share your screen. I really want people to know kasi about your universities in our group. Parang you're under publicized.
Thank you. Joe Cruz had been in touch. Wait, just I will ask you if you can hear my sound of this video.
PSU Joe is contributing directly.
Can you hear the sound of my video?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll put it off now. So at least I practiced now that I can share.
Oh, yeah.
And that I can, because I also wanted to ask permission if two of my technical support can come in.
Of course, certainly.
Their names are Alan Go and Edna Enriquez. I will direct them to enter now, if you will allow them.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
And now. So I hope Joba will have a chance to attend or not.
Joe will definitely be here. He was texting me last night. Joe is a friend, and we're very happy with each other. And so he will be here. He said he'll be here.
Oh, that makes a big difference to me. If Joe attends, then yeah, it's important.
Talaga? Because he said, no, so he sent me this message that he will be watching out for today's event. Because, and then he sent me your link, your announcement.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he said he's looking forward to today. So he's definitely going to be around because late last night, as I told you, he was even asking me if he can ask something in the open forum. I said, by all means.
That's the whole purpose of it, no? So anyway, where is Joe now? I forget now in which state he would be based. I'm just
He would be
curious.
in Ohio still.
Yes.
He was able to leave during
All right.
the pandemic.
Okay.
It was a postponed flight several times, but he finally was able to make it.
Yeah.
And so he's there. He's been there, and I don't know what his plans for the holidays are. I guess most people who are already in the US are planning to just stay on there.
Yes.
I think, like
Well,
my friend.
Yeah. So I'm so glad that Joe is able to get back to Ohio because
Yeah.
a lot of time here too. So Joe and I were kasi in the project advisory group of the CHED for Picari. So we worked well together with Willie, Adolina, and Father Ben Nebres.
Yes.
So as far as highly technical stuff are concerned for engineering, Joe would take the lead. Ako naman, I would do it for the life sciences and chemistry and all that stuff. So yeah, I've known Joe a long time too, and worked well with him. So he's helped you because you're friends, and of course he should be helping TIP, but he's also helping BSU, diba?
He is, yeah. Uh, uh, he was helping BSU and TIP at about the same time.
See, and he's able to get you accredited.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called
Two times, ABET, 2 times.
That's good. And he tried that for UP, and somehow, I don't know, our Matias Gandin did not get it through engineering faculty. So meron nga talaga yung universities like UP thinking that they can get away with no accreditation, and our programs are good enough. But you don't fit against international standards. How can you tell that you're still specializing or focusing on areas also that are important? So stuff. No, so it's really good to showcase other universities.
Not the usual suspects.
Oo. Yeah. Actually, yeah, there's even a suggestion. It's about time that our country has a second national university, second one, because it's just so complacent about being the only national university and receiving a lion's share of the budget, right?
Yeah.
Of course, it's supposed to be productive and all, but I think the productivity per head, per unit faculty, considering that don't have a lot of teaching load, is still low, you know. So para bang you can't compare oranges and apples, just like that, because
Yeah.
there are lots of factors.
Yeah. And private schools are really suffering now from decreased enrollment because of the free education, not only in UP but in all the other public public schools. So that's the biggest challenge for private schools, sustainability really. And everywhere in the world, all industries and all businesses are challenged. And here in the Philippines, schools even more so. Because the online is also not that easy. The students, there are birthing pains for the world. And we experience it even more here in the Philippines because of our poor connectivity. So because of our poor connectivity, it's hard enough to go into another mode of teaching and learning. And then when you are zoomed in and out, or if you can't even hear your teacher, or you can't hear each other, or it rains and then there's no more internet, a simple rain can cause a brownout, things like those. So it's really challenging. It's a big challenge for everyone.
Understand. So it's the same in UP. So and then they went to such extent as to identify the students who have the laptops or gave them tablets. But then again, for connectivity, I think they have to arrange the students to the place where they might find connectivity. And so I think for UP, the challenge also is that we have many out of town students that you could not reach because the way others do it also is if your students live your campus, then perhaps you could in selected cases deliver the material. So that's a brute force approach which would work. But then in UP, there are many who are living in dorms. Of course, that that's one. They were stranded, so they had no more subsistence. So it's really challenging for all of us. But then I always look at the positive myself, and I say, well, now of course I'm no longer in charge of academics and pedagogy, no, pero may opportunity eh. So it's really people like you because you're so progressive who will find the opportunities to cope with this new situation because
Yeah.
it's also showing us that more efficient at less cost. Okay, so actually, well, it's just to apply to your university, but my grandson, he's back in school in Xavier, and it's all online, and he's from the room, from the home. But the tuition fee did not decrease at all. It even went up. And yet the cost of online education, you might say, is a little bit or a lot less than live face-to-face education. For one thing, you don't have the cost of power and maybe, of course, staff. You cannot support staff. You cannot just dismiss them. But I'm just curious how you know the universities or the schools are able to rationalize tuition as well as yeah.
Well, yeah, that's another challenge because, like in our case, when we conducted a survey of fees,
Yes,
before we were already in the like if there were quartiles, we would be in the second lowest quartile. But
yes,
now with our fees, we are in the lowest quartile because we really reduced some of our fees by 50%, and we did not charge any of the other miscellaneous fees, and we only retained some 100% miscellaneous fees, and we of course we did not increase our tuition. That being the case, we're there in the lowest quartile, and so it's really a challenge. But we it's part of our commitment. It was really the vision of my father to give best value education. But as you know, all of our students get so much more than what they would get from other schools with all of the local and international accreditations and the facilities that they have. Well, of course, they cannot enjoy the facilities now because we're all off-site, right, and online. But when things get back to normal, it should be so.
I think we're moving towards that, Beth. So I think by next year we can do brighter.
Yeah.
Because I think the way this will settle is it's like a serious kind of influenza, and so we must have the precautions. I was just telling some family members the other day that in Japan and in Korea, if you travel, by train, you know that maybe one half, not one half, one one third of the the passengers have masks. It's like routine. It's their way of life, and it's because they feel that they know it's the flu season, or they feel under the weather, or for whatever reason. So they're socially responsible, and they know that they have to protect themselves and protect others um, from themselves. So I think it could happen that everywhere in the world this would be a new normal. And even now that the cases are increasing because of the testing, it's true. What Donald Trump said is true. I mean, 85,000 cases registered in the United States for the highest in a long time. But that's also because of the testing, right? But once deaths or serious cases to the number of cases. No? So I think unless we know the real facts, we will continue to be just so scared or anxious about the situation. Pero it's gonna normalize in the next few months. So if you even have a way of getting what you call a staggered face-to-face or a combination of online and face-to-face, might work. And then maybe you might be the leader in cell phone based online, because that's where it's headed also. Cell phone based.
Yeah. Some students, actually do their learning management system from cell phone. Yeah, they do. That's why it's really a challenge for them. Giselle, I might forget. Beyond this fireside chat, because one of my requests would be to invite, one of my proposals is to invite visiting professors. May I have your permission to write them, the ones who might be aligned to our needs?
That's wonderful. And please let me know so that at least we have a record of how our linkage has led to connections or contacts with the past. This is the whole purpose of this chat there.
Yeah.
Purpose, no? So it would be nice. Of course, in some
I might even be able to write it through you. I will copy you the letters, because we have several PhD computer science really in your lineup, and they might be able to teach in that program that I was telling you about, the data science program. Yeah, and then Giselle, can you hear me clearly? Because you're not coming in very loud enough. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yeah, you can hear me clearly.
I can hear you. Can you hear me clearly?
Now, when
you hear me clearly?
When you moved a little forward, I did. Can you do that? Because I cannot hear you clearly there. Can you try that again?
Can you hear me clearly?
Now lang. Kanina pa hindi. I was straining.
Okay.
Oh, now again. No, when you move
yes.
back, I cannot also hear you clearly again.
Okay. Well, Beth, I wanted to say...
There.
Okay. I'll do this. And then, Beth, I will first go for like 2 minutes, no?
Me too.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Bye-bye. See you.
Yes. See you.
Nagpalito na rin po ako to post sa Facebook.
Good morning, Edna. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you po. Good morning po.
Kamusta na? How are you? How
Hello,
many, uh,
ma'am.
how many PASA events have you attended, Edna?
Uh, I just attended now only, ma'am, to assist Mrs. Lahoz po.
Thank you. So she tried her slides earlier and it's okay.
Hello, ma'am. For a while po, I cannot hear you clearly.
She tried her slides and they're okay. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you po.
Okay, Edna, I will just mute and turn off my video for a while.
Okay po, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you po. Hindi pala ako nakaano. Yok.
Good morning, Esther. Ma'am Esther, good morning. Can you hear me?
I had to unmute first.
Yes, ma'am. Kamusta na? Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I just had to unmute myself.
Yes. So in my case, mahina yung volume ko kanina. So Beth and I were talking a bit earlier. She came in early. So she tried her slides, her video, and it's working. Do you have any slides or not?
Oh, mabuti pa ikaw, may slides ka. Ako.
Si Beth meron.
Well, she's always prepared. So.
Yeah. So
I thought yesterday. It's okay. I did not plan on preparing any slides, but yesterday I thought I would have an easy day.
yeah,
What?
I'll have an easy day. Nako.
I thought.
Yeah. Well,
This file of papers.
so they're sent to your home. They're sent to you.
My driver goes there. Passes by UERM, gets all the checks. If there is something that gets all the papers, if there's something that's absolutely necessary to be sent back, it's sent. He waits for it. Otherwise, and then in the evening, ganun din ng papel, daanan sa umaga. Kanina nga lang nagbalik ako kasi late yesterday, evening, they came with, tons of papers.
Well,
And there's also, our VP hospital lives nearby. So, pagdaan niya sa, kagaya kagabi, may dala siyang urgent papers that are needed today. So,
yes.
ganyan lang.
Well, Tina is here. Martin.
Hi, hello. Good morning.
Of course, Tina and I were also in a late meeting from 5 to 7 last night.
Oh, well, we've made you co-host just in case you have something to share, but you don't have to share a slide or anything because
No, we just discussed.
Yeah.
While
I didn't prepare anything.
Does not require video recording.
no, absolutely. So we'll just
Akala ko kwentuhan lang ito.
kwentuhan lang. Yeah. So
Pero alam mo si Beth, laging ganyan yan. She is really prepared. Pag may meeting kami, may mga research, gawa siya ng research beforehand.
Oo, prepared lagi yan si Beth.
sabi niya kasi Joe Cruz is joining us.
Okay lang.
Yes. Still coming in. Joe Cruz is joining us, so here he is.
Yes.
Okay.
So is Beth back? Are you back, Beth? Because we were chatting a bit earlier. Then she left for a while, and she
Yes, I'm back.
Ayan.
Hi, Joe.
and Joy's here. Hi,
Yep.
Joe. Nice to
Hi.
see you or about to see you.
Okay.
This is special. That's why you're attending this one.
Turn on your audio, Joe. I mean your
Hi,
video.
Esther.
We can see you.
Okay.
It's been a
Just a
while.
second.
It's been a while. Pero Joe attended some of our
There
Work.
he is.
camps. How is Ohio? Joe,
A little cold, but not too cold.
right.
Giselle is Ahaya.
Everything.
Ahaya.
Yeah. Ohio. O-H-I-O.
Have you voted?
Hello,
Have you
Christine.
voted, Joe?
Hello, how are you?
Hello. Nakaboto ka na?
Nakaboto ako by
Mail.
mail.
talaga, no? Liberation or doomsday, we don't know.
Well, as I say,
Sana naman. Oh.
if they really still vote for him, that they deserve him. That's all I can say.
Kawawa naman ang buong mundo. Para
Right.
Yun lang ang problema.
we'll all be affected.
We are
That's
being
the-
affected even now.
Yeah, we are being affected.
That's quite affected.
Oh well.
Aiden.
No, I think the Americans learned their lesson.
Giselle,
Yes. Yes,
what
Tina.
is what is our main objective?
So the
And
main
who are participating?
Okay, that's good. So first, take note of the guide, discussion guide. It's really to, I think that until now, our private higher education institutions are under-publicized, well, as far as PAASE is concerned. So our main objective is for you to tell us your key thrusts and initiatives and your ongoing R&D, and then where you would wish to explore collaboration with PAASE.
She asked me the same question, and I basically said something like that.
Yeah. So earlier, Beth and I were talking, and of course, I didn't know, Joe, that you, well, I forgot that you had inputted as much in TIP
Oh,
as
yes.
in DSU. Okay, so this is an example of what we would like to happen, that more PAASE members can be tapped by you to help you. So this is the purpose of our chat. Okay,
Okay.
and now there's no impediment, no barriers, you might say, for anyone to help to the extent that she can, because everyone's online. So parang level the playing field, no? So why do they have to help only UP or LaSalle or Ateneo or UST? Everyone can be helped, and
Well,
everyone, can find a partner. Like PAASE members want to get involved, they should find the right partners.
actually, Giselle, I'd
Yes,
been thinking of that. Except that in the case of UE, for the longest time, in fact, the reason they brought me into UE was really more a survival thing at that time. Imagine that when they brought me into UE, if you look at the performance of UE, it was really dismal. And it got to a point where, because the performance was so bad, the public already knew, and
yes,
it was very low enrollment.
Yes.
Very low, really very low. So I've spent the last so many, basically, I've been there for 15 years, but basically 12 of those years were really just putting them back on the map, putting UE back on the map, especially in areas where we used to be the top in this country, meaning accounting and
Accounting.
So
accounting industry. So
this
that
is
was that was my main. I mean, I had to do that. In fact, there were many offers for us to buy schools all over the place, but I told the board, I said, let's be strong first in these two campuses before we try to.
even now. So, ma'am, we will be starting in a minute, or maybe at most wait for 5 minutes. But with us now are former presidents of PAASE, Raymond Tan and Alsa Rafika, and we have Andy Villalobos here and Alan Go as well. So yes, I agree. I think you should trace a bit of the history of why you're leading UEs, CEU, and then perhaps show the trajectory that you're following.
I think now we are a little bit better off, except of course the recent events made things bad again. but
Yeah. Can you imagine if you were not at the helm?
Well, I'm sure there are many other people, but it just so happened that they knew I was free at the time.
Yes. We're
And
waiting for Carolyn, so maybe when she joins us, then we can start. But
sure.
Raymond, thanks for joining us. So we have, as long as Al, Raymond, well, unfortunately, Joel Coelho cannot join us.
Good morning.
So
Morning.
I think this has become an important meeting because you have some heavyweights here from the PAASE. So
Morning, Beth. It's Al. Long time no
Al.
see.
Kamusta, Al?
yes.
Mabuti naman. Long time no see.
Yeah.
Are you
Unfortunately,
still in Ohio, Joe?
Malamig dito. Ang wearing
Parang
sweater.
Sa inyo dyan. Punta ka na dito. Punta ka na dito. Malamig na dyan sa inyo.
Oo nga eh.
so Anne, are you there? Anne from Anne did not go back to Philadelphia. She's still in
Bukidnon.
Bidnon.
I'm still in Bukidnon for
Nasa
7
Bukidnon
months
pa rin si
now.
Ann. Yeah, hindi na tayo nakaboto in person, Ann.
Yun nga eh.
I was supposed to be in the US last week.
Philadelphians. Ito talaga si Al.
Yeah.
Philadelphian
Kami
pa rin.
nakaboto in person.
Any bold predictions on the elections?
Oh,
There-
God.
How are things going?
Biden.
Bye-bye, Trump, hopefully.
It's with Biden.
Wait, guess who's
Yeah.
coming in? Emil Javier himself is coming in. Okay?
Perfect.
All right, perfect. Well, Willie Padolina can't make it.
But the better half is here,
He
right?
doesn't want to contradict.
The better half is here. That's why they call it the better half.
Danny Padolina is
Doc
here.
Willie.
dami pong trabaho kasi.
Oo. Buong
Tinatapos
araw kami nung nasa
yan.
last Friday.
May assignment siya
pagod na
sa
pagod kami.
USC eh.
Good
Kaya,
morning, President Javier. Thanks for taking time.
ayan, si Dr.
Good
Javier.
morning. Good morning. Giselle. Good morning, Tina.
Good morning.
Hi, Emil.
Morning.
Good morning, Doc Emil.
Hi. Good morning. Good morning.
Nice of you to see you. That's the last time I was out actually, was when we were together in Los Baños for that
Yeah.
research congress. Yun na yun. And I haven't
Let's
seen
go.
anyone in person.
John Raimundo is coming in. Sean
John, yeah.
and Phil Mendoza. So this is great. We have good participation today. And it's so great for you to take time out.
Actually, see, Beth, when I was president, she was the representative of the private sector education in science and engineering. She
Thank you,
presented for the Manila Hotel event where we had Makati Business Club, we had Dow Chemicals, we had Sec Ernie and Sec Boy, of course, and all the Picard and PCHRD executive directors. Hopefully, we can convene that again, maybe from the NAST side na siguro, Doc Emil and Giselle, if we can get them to ano. Kasi we did it for PAASE na eh. Let's do it for the NAST na siguro. We'll
Yes.
invite Jaza and Tessie Coson and everybody else.
Wonderful. But even so, I think, Al, I was going to ask your help to get a fireside chat where we will get members of the MIP, the Management Association of the Philippines, led by Cora Claudio. Cora Claudio to...
I'm closer kasi to Risa Mantaring eh.
well, line up Lisa.
Her kids are her brothers and sisters went to Rensselaer.
Yes.
I met her several times. And she's very sharp. I mean, being
Oh, yeah, she's
Risa,
very
CEO.
smart.
in fact, Risa would be much better. Kasi
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
one track mind si Cora eh. So
Yeah.
Well,
I think
but then,
Risa would be more insightful from technical, especially kasi computer science si Risa. And I mean, they're all techies. The whole Nervasio clan.
the mindset is
so we're going to start now.
Okay.
So there's so much to
It's nice to start with a fireside chat.
I cannot see Caroline. Diyan si Caroline.
share the screen. So Ella. So
Ay,
oh wow.
anong nangyari sa akin?
So good morning everyone. Welcome to a fireside chat episode 6 of the PAASE. And the title is Trailblazing Women Presidents of Higher Education Institutions. And the reason we're having this is because that there are some private higher education institutions that we don't know enough about, or many of our PAASE members don't know enough about, yet they are trailblazing in certain areas of interest to us. So today we are grateful that we have with us 4 distinguished women who have set their universities on a very progressive trajectory. Okay, and so today, in the presence of our PAASE members, several committed, stalwart members, including a PAASE vanguard, President Emil Javier, 2 PAASE presidents, and we know who are present at present. We have Joe Cruz of the National Academy of Engineering of the US, and we have other members who keep joining these meetings, these conversations. We'd like to start by sharing with you the discussion guide. After this brief introduction, we would like to hear for about 10 to 12 minutes each from our distinguished guests the key thrusts and initiatives in their universities, which they've led as presidents, then their most important ongoing R&D development programs. Then finally, we hope to showcase some of the successes, and then see where PAASE members individually can collaborate with you, okay? And let us know what it is that we could do for you or do with you. And now we say we're leveling the playing field. Our PAASE members can help all universities as they wish. It really depends on the matching of interests and expertise. So at this point, I would like to introduce our member, none other than Dr. Ester Albano. She's my mentor and teacher and professor in undergrad. And Esther, as we know, has had a rich, colorful life. And it's her commitment to education in a country that brought her to the current position of president of the University of the East. But she has influenced UP as well as a high-ranking official, VPAA, and eventually she became chair of the SHED. So with that, Esther, perhaps you can tell us, what it is, what's the burning issue in UE that PAASE could contribute to?
As I was mentioning earlier, before most everybody came in, I was asked to join UE when it was really in a very bad situation. Basically, my main task at the time was really to get UE surviving and thriving again. Most of you, especially the older ones, know the expertise of UE has always been in accountancy and dentistry. Okay, so they wanted me to revive those programs and of course everything else. Our passing percentage in the boards were in almost all cases except dentistry. In all cases except dentistry, it was even below national passing for many years. So that was my first task. Obviously, research was nowhere in their, well, it was in their sight. In fact, the board had, even before I came in, allocated money, resources to develop research, but there was none going on. So first action I did, or I took was really, well, 2 things. Basically, one, to really impose measures sometimes harsh measures with respect to our academic programs. I had to revamp the admission process, the retention policies, etc., etc. And I brought in, and the other trick was to bring in Olive Kawili, who happened at the time to be NRCP chair, NRCP president, to be our research director. And I must say that thankfully over the years with respect to research, because I know that that is of most interest to you, with respect to research, we have progressed slowly, but definitely we are now on the right track. We are publishing, our faculty members are publishing, and you can see the development over the last many years. Recently, I brought in Olive had to leave, so I brought in somebody from a professor emeritus biologist. I actually sociologist from UP Manila, UP Diliman and UP Manila, an emeritus professor. So to also lead the group. With respect to research, most of our activities are in IT and dentistry. Because those are where we have some strong, some relatively okay research. They are now publishing in reputable journals. And I introduced them just to make sure that they will do research. A rather, at that time, a very good incentive, 50,000 per international publication. And of course, graduated down, depending on the kind of publication that they publish in. But that has helped. And of course, we give them a lot of off time for research. We pay by the unit, so pay 30, teach 18. So the 12 units of research underloading, and that has done quite a bit. Okay, with respect to our where we would like some support, especially now, I am trying to start a data science program. Unfortunately, the pandemic came in. Otherwise, we would probably be almost ready by now. But we will be concentrating our efforts mostly in business analytics. Again, because of our expertise in the university regarding accountancy and business administration, and also because I am also now quite involved with UERM medical analytics. So those two, but I'm talking of UE. And with respect to medical analytics, of course, we will have to involve UERM. If you wish, I can also discuss a little bit of UERM because they are the ones who are even stronger in research. We have a very strong diabetics research program. The reason being, diabetics has been a long-term expertise of UE. So with Joven Kwanang in our board, he really pushed the research group to look again very closely into diabetes. So that's a very strong research program in addition to other community-based programs, research programs of UERM. I guess that's it.
Thank you, Esther. That's great. I think
maybe I can talk about now. Unfortunately, we are again almost back to our enrollment figures when I was new. So financially, it is a difficult fight, but our research agenda remains, the same. I mean, we have not reduced our research budget at all. So that will continue.
Okay, thanks, Esther. I think you well stressed many important points. First is that you recruited UP people, including professors emeriti. Okay, and that's key. Always people who are leading the university. Second is you identified the R&D areas, IT and dentistry. You're famous for dentistry, medicine, and of course accounting, accountancy, MBA. And then you're publishing, so you followed UP's route of 50K per publication. That's really good. And now you stress the importance of the data science program. It's like fundamental underlying area of development that would help all universities in all areas of specialization and disciplines.
Just to add,
Yes.
IT is not, I mean, I was actually surprised about the IT program of UE when I came in. It was very strong, and which caught me by surprise. In fact, it's one of the centers of excellence now in IT education. But it's really because of early on, the chairman of CHED at that time, I mean, the chairman of UE at that time, Dr. Panfilo Domingo, really invested quite a bit into our IT infrastructure.
So,
And of course, also the education. So that's a strength that, which is not there many years ago, but now it's there. Thank
that's
you.
really good because then he was visionary in that sense.
Yeah.
Now you transition to a data science and develop a strong statistics program. But I like your mentioning diabetes because I think it's one of the most important conditions to deal with this metabolic syndrome that pervades developed countries, and in the Philippines it's rising. So with that, I think, Esther, we have enough to think about from what UE considers its most important programs. And so thank you. I would like to now move on to Dr. Caroline Marian Santos Enriquez, who is the president of the Philippine Association of Colleges and Universities, and also the president of Our Lady of Fatima University. And Caroline, as we know, heads this group of Fatima institutions, including the medical school, where I know some UP faculty then part-time, and feedback on the medical schools is very, very positive. So Caroline, could you tell us more about Our Lady of Fatima?
Good morning, Giselle. Let me correct you first. I'm now the past president of PACU.
Oh.
We just had our elections, our reorganizational meeting last October. So the current president now is Dr. Anthony Tamayo from Perpetual. So nonetheless, I'm still the president of Fatima. I still am. So how do I start? Our Lady of Fatima University is basically one of those family-owned universities. So we were now 53 years old. When I took over, my mom was a legacy. I took over way back in 2008. And I was afraid, how can I fill up her shoes? Because aside from her great vision, maternal instincts, like everybody was looking up to her, I was wondering whether I could really level up to her stature as a leader, as a mother of the university. So I decided my first few years was just to observe and not to remove anyone from any of their positions, how they performed and how I could work with each and every group. And then part of the things that we did was we also engaged with a consulting agency. Prior to my parents' demise, we were in touch with the family business group of Harvard University. And we engaged the consulting group to work with Fatima and to create a roadmap. So we started that in 2010, and it's supposed to be a 15-year roadmap that should end by 2025. And we were doing it in segments. But along the way, so what we did was we engaged everyone from the board of trustees to my deans, all the way down to the faculty on how to make our strategic plans and everything else. But with regards my research, and research was part of the agenda, one of my initial research directors was Dr. Remilla Nathaniels. You remember her?
Yes.
And she's very good, but she decided to leave for the US to work, to stay with her family. So I got on board a very young and very promising research director who has made several inroads. So you talk to him, and aside from that, he's also very inclined towards research, very passionate. So we discussed the strategies. And one of the things that I wanted to do for Fatima, because we run currently 6 campuses, was to make sure that research is strong in all the campuses. So it's not just Valenzuela, it's across. So what we did was we clustered our programs so that we have one cluster for health, another one for the business programs of Fatima, another one for the graduate school, and another one for the med school. So that being said, we made sure that for each cluster, it's also headed by a coordinator, a strong coordinator in all the campuses, but everything is directed from the research director. So every year we conduct our every year we conduct our scientific research forum for our students as well as for our faculty, and it's very good because we compete against each other. So we do an inter-campus competition. You start, of course, with your campus, and then you compete against each campus, and then you give them awards and recognitions. And one of the asks that I also directed my research director to level up on the kinds of research work that they were doing. I wanted to make sure that whatever research we had would, number one, eventually end up in Scopus, and which he has been doing successfully, because like what in one of his reports, he said, he told me, Doctora, surprisingly, at the height of pandemic, there are a lot of people doing research now. And we were able to raise the number of Scopus publications that we have. And we also made sure that we, our research work, especially if it is with the sciences and it entails scientific research, it follows the FREB guidelines, the ethical board. So we're also, I think, a level 2 FREB research institution. And then we have our research agenda, which we call Oracle. Oracle is our outcomes-based research agenda for collaboration, legacy, and excellence. Collaboration, because we wanted to make sure that not only do we work with each other, but we also collaborate externally. And then our legacy is to make sure also that whatever research work we do, we leave some sort of an imprint for somebody to use, somebody to work on, and somebody that could help the country in some ways. And then the other component is we also try to make sure that we address the sustainable growth development programs. So we try to make sure that everything is focused, everything is directed. So right now, what my team is doing is we're heavy into analytics. The things we do in the university is always based on data. So we use a research team to make sure that we analyze our data and we find out how we could push the data to help us with the organization and the administration of the university. And then moving forward, we also try to reach out to our partners. And I think that's where we would like to reach out with PAASE. How to make sure that most of our research works would be focused. They gave me a report on our ITSO filing, and I was surprised that there's quite a number of our research works that they filed under patents. But I wanted to move the needle to make sure that aside from just being filed, it sort of becomes, number one, if it's possible to produce it en masse. Secondly, what is the value for the ones who invented? And then thirdly, to use the research work that we have so that it becomes functional and it's useful to everyone. So there's still a lot of work that we're doing. But I feel that I'd like to be more directed into finding out and using the strengths of each college to make sure that there's an outstanding research work that comes out of that college. So now, well, we're doing what we can. We're doing a lot of training, and we have to cut across all our campuses. And we also share and try to participate in the networks, the research networks. My group is very young in terms of the leadership. He's around 30 plus, but he's very dynamic. He's now on his second PhD. He's doing it with Johnson. Yeah, young guy. And then everybody is young in the group. And that's why maybe we might need some wisdom coming from the more experienced group. So that's about it with Fatima.
That's fantastic, Carolyn. Thanks for sharing. It's amazing how you're counting on the young to lead. True. Well, Esther mentioned that she was recruiting the retirees, the oldies consultants. But
it depends. It depends on the kind of activity I want.
That's also true. We also try to balance it. So yes. Our research is driven by the young guys, but most of my academic deans we have a portfolio of the mature senior ones and also the young ones.
Yeah.
So the experience is called from the more mature leaders in our university. But the ones who could do the work and really drive it would be, I guess, my research group. And I'm very thankful because on their own, they're able to present outside. We gave them the incentives. And I saw how most of my people now are going into research.
Yes. This is very revealing. So first, I didn't know you already 7 campuses, Carolyn. I'm familiar with the medical school, but you're also strong in the allied health programs. But then I also wanted to, again, for those who came late, and I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Fred Pascual, former UP president, and others who've just come in. So for Carolyn, you invested in young leaders, and then you mentioned the importance of clustering of your programs and your, among your campuses. And then you have the competitions.
The host.
Okay. Can you hear me, please? Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Competitions, and then you've been able to level up the research with publications in Scopus. And then Oracle is perfect for us in PAASE because it means you're looking for collaborations with potential collaborations with some of our PAASE experts. And again, like Esther, you're focused on analytics for administrative matters, the university, as well as a discipline underlying all disciplines is so important now. So thank you very much, Carolyn, for sharing with us your important thrusts and strategies in Fatima University. I'd like to go next to our speaker, Dr. Elizabeth Quirino Lahoz, President of Technological Institute of the Philippines, I was chatting with her earlier, and Beth, I think here has a video to share with us. Beth?
Yes, thank you. So I will share it in a while. Good day, everyone. I hope you are all well. First of all, I would like to thank PAASE and PAASE President Dr. Gisela Concepcion for having me today. For a bit of history, the Technological Institute of the Philippines, TIP, was founded 58 years ago by my parents, classroom teachers, Engineer Demetrio Quirino Jr. and Dr. Teresita Quirino. They had the vision of bringing quality higher education within reach of the Filipino. Critical to maintaining quality are, of course, continuous innovation and improvement. At TIP, we are excited about one new key thrust along innovation. This is our innovation center called TIP Technocore. It was a natural progression as an engineering and computing school that TIP wanted to leverage on the skills of its faculty to help identify and solve actual problems of industry and society. Technocore stands for Technopreneurship and Collaborative Applied Research. The technopreneurship part involves instilling technopreneurship mindsets and skills in our students and faculty in engineering and other programs. The collaborative applied research part of Technocore entails TIP actively reaching out to industry and organizations such as PAASE for these collaborations. Technocore provides the physical facilities, fabrication laboratories, fab labs, and institutional support that the TIP community needs to meaningfully participate in collaborative research projects with industry and civil society. May I invite you now to watch this video on TIP Technocore. It contains our completed and ongoing research and development programs, as well as areas where we can forge partnerships.
you, Beth. Yes, you can speak,
Yeah.
Beth.
Yeah, thank you. So to reiterate from the video, our ongoing projects include power and energy, product system design and development, water treatment, sustainability and consultancy, machine learning and data analytics, as well as others in various fields. And now allow me to share some TIP milestones. Number one, pioneering outcomes-based education. TIP adopted outcomes-based education, or OBE, ahead of the Commission on Higher Education CHED memo mandating OBE. TIP is most proud of our globally competitive students because of OBE. 2, CHED autonomous status for TIP QC and TIP Manila. 3, 16 CHED Centers of Excellence and CHED Centers of Development. 4, local and international accreditations. TIP has the highest number of local and international academic outcomes-oriented accreditations. Locally, we have 43 accreditations. Internationally, we have 20 engineering and computing programs accredited by the ABET Engineering Accreditation Commission and ABET Computing Accreditation Commission. As you know, ABET is a US-based global gold standard in engineering and computing outcomes-oriented accreditation. We also have 6 engineering programs, rather 6 computing programs accredited by the Seoul Accord. 5, Career Center. The TIP Career Center, patterned after US universities, was set up in partnership with USAID STRIDE. This year, it was recognized as a model career center in the Philippines by USAID STRIDE and is now a virtual career center. TIP graduates, fresh graduates, ranked 7th out of the 10 highest ranking schools in the 2018 JobStreet.com Multi-Employers Preference Survey Fresh Graduate Report. This is a testament to the effectiveness of both TIP's outcomes-based education and the Career Center in producing career-ready, industry-desired graduates. Now for the areas of interest for collaboration with PAASE, I have 2 suggestions. One is technical assistance to our Innovation Center, the TIP Technocore, as research collaborators and as mentors. Second is training future scientists and tech leaders, not those already embedded in their fields, as visiting professors on the part of PAASE. So for the technical assistance, the beauty of collaborative applied research is its multidisciplinary approach to problem solving. This is a case with the TIP Technocore SIGLA-VENT, Automated Emergency Ventilator Project, with funding from DOSTP Shared. One of the project's medical doctor consultants is PAASE member, Dr. Vince Faustino, intensivist, Yale School of Medicine. Thank you, Dr. Faustino. Wish you were here. These medical consultants have guided TIP's engineering expertise, thus achieving synergy for the project. On a related note, some PAASE members have been inspirations to TIP through the years. They are DOST USEC Guevara, Dr. Joe Cruz, hi Joe, Dr. Al Sarafika, hi Al. In some, we can explore with you as PAASE scientists, actual research collaborations, dedicated mentorship programs, and technology transfer. With regard to training future science and tech leaders, another possibility for you is to teach with us via online, using Zoom or other online conference tools, and make a difference in the lives of Filipinos here. I'm inviting you to become visiting professors in our newly launched Professional Science Master's Degree in Data Science. This is in partnership with USAID STRIDE again, and industry partners Emerson Philippines and CloudSwift Global Systems Inc. As you know, PSM, just like in US universities, offers a good, unique mix of science and practice. I am also inviting you to teach in our doctoral degree programs, Doctor of Philosophy in Computer Science, Doctor in Information Technology, Doctor of Engineering with a specialization in Computer Engineering. TIP is a CHED delivering higher education institution, DHEI, for graduate programs. We need you, academe and industry experts such as yourselves, to truly make these programs meaningful and globally relevant. Arthur Levine in 2000 said that the school of the future is one where students flock to the school because of teachers who are luminaries. The most renowned faculty members, those able to attract tens of thousands of students in an international marketplace, will become like rock stars. The PAASE visiting professors can be the luminaries of the Philippine School of the Future. Should I be able to successfully invite even just some of you to teach online, even just part-time with us, then the School of the Future would be coming true. We are excited to discuss the possibilities for collaboration for technical assistance to the Innovation Center as collaborators and as mentors. Contact person is the TIP Senior Vice President, Angelo Lahoz, my son and head of Technocore, jello.lahos@tip.edu.ph. For the training of future science tech leaders as visiting professors, VPAA QC, Cynthia Llanes at tip.edu.ph and linda.valdepeñas@tip.edu.ph. My email, beth.lahos@tip.edu.ph. Do visit our website too, tip.edu.ph. And once again, I would like to thank everyone. I look forward to our research collaborations and your teaching with us soonest. Thank you.
Amazing, Beth. Fantastic. So there you have it. This chat is timely because you're really looking for visiting professors, and we have some prospects in PAASE. So before this, we opened this chat, Beth and I were already chatting about how to go about it, and it would be easy for us. So Beth, it's great that you're focused on solving industry and civil society problems, that you have invested in Fab Labs, and you're an example of PPP because you have major investments from the government through the PCHRE. Then Beth, your university is a second example of how the children of the owners are actively growing the university. So TIP, just like Our Lady of Fatima University, and you have with you your young son, and that's Angelo Lahoz. And I understand he collaborates with Gani Padolina as well, right?
Gani's here. Hi, Gani.
Yeah, thank you, Gani, for joining us. And wow,
good morning.
Record in a way that UP has not had its engineering programs accredited. You have the greatest number of engineering programs, 20 in engineering and just say about 6 in computing sciences. And these are all international, led by the APET joint. I know who's responsible for, in this, it's Joe Cruz, who's been trying to do it for UP. It's not succeeded because there are impediments, there's resistance. Okay, maybe UP engineering faculty and leaders think that, they don't have to be accredited internationally. And then you also have, understand, Batangas State University, which Joe has led in the path of accreditation. It's great that you have your Technocore and your virtual career centers, and you have affirmation from, the number of jobs that your graduates are able to get right after graduation. Thank you so much for your offer to get PAASE as visiting professors, research collaborators, and mentors. And well, thank you that you have given us the contact persons and their email address. So Beth, more power to you, and thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you, Giselle.
So our fourth, not the least at all, presenter is none other than Cristina Masco Padolina, president of Central Escolar University and former chancellor of UP Open University. So right where she should be right now, leading Central Escolar with her background in online distance learning, having led UPOB for many years under the term of President Emil Javier at that time. So Tina?
Yes. Good morning, good day to everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity to dialogue with everyone and to share what CEU is doing. Just to introduce CEU and myself, my career trajectory is the same as Esther's. From UP to CHED to private higher education. Sumusunod lang ako dyan kay Esther. CEU is over 100 years old, founded in 1907 by two women. And its strength lies in the health sciences. So, for example, if you encounter somebody from anyone and you say you're from CEU, you would they would typically say, dentistry. So, yan. I don't want to say na ka-competition ko si Esther doon. Pero nandun kami at we share each other what we need to do to improve our programs. And I think, friends, I just want to introduce to you to this gang of these four women leaders in higher education. We frequently vibrate each other to consult with each other about our own problems and so on. Anyway,
4:30 in the morning.
Yes. And well, siguro yung a little note about my children. My children are contributing to other higher education institutions. That's, I suppose, that's how we trained our children. Gani is with TIP, and our daughter, who is has a master's in educational technology, used to be with UE, and now she is with FEU, helping them with their online courses. Okay. Anyway, pwede ko naman silang hatakin, maski na hindi ko sila officially makakasama. Okay, now going now to what we would like to do in CEU. Right now, our focus has to be short and medium term. We were thrown last year into this situation that we are in. And all of a sudden, we had to continue with our education online. Luckily for CEU, we have been using Canvas as our learning management system for 2 years prior to the pandemic. And we used it for blended learning. And at that point, almost all of our general education courses were already in this blended learning mode. But come March, the middle of March, we were thrown into this situation, and quickly we shifted fully online. Our advantage, of course, was that we had the learning management system already operating. Well, I tell you, we were crucified in social media by our students because, they were thrown suddenly into this fully online system. So, we braved it out and we said we will do it. So we trained our faculty and all. And that's what I'd like to focus on in the short to medium term. We would like to continue our online courses even after the pandemic. We may shift to blended again, but this time our blended will have more online components because by that time we would have already developed many components online. However, we need to maintain some of our face-to-face classes, our laboratories, our clinics, and our practicum. But we would like to continue with this. Okay, so one of the things that we would like to do is to embed, educational credentials and resources into our degree programs, into our courses. For example, right now, Coursera is talking with us. And Coursera is asking us to exactly do that, embed the MOOCs, the massive open online courses that they have developed into our courses and degree programs. And we are working on that. Of course, we are already embedding OERs, open educational resources, into our courses, but we would like to do more than that. But in addition, we would like to invite as resource persons and visiting professors, our compatriots from all over the world and from the Philippines for that matter, to contribute or to be part of our online courses. And as Beth said, that is one of the things that we would like to collaborate with PAASE. And there are many opportunities. It could be a one-off, 1 hour or 2 hour session with our students, or it could be a longer engagement that we can have with you. So that's one of the things that we need to do, strengthen our online programs. The other thing that we would like to do is to create a post-baccalaureate programs that will take into, that will be, I'll just say it in the usual way, that is based on a stacking of credentials. So have maybe post-baccalaureate ang inaano ko, hindi ko masyado sa baccalaureate kasi alam naman natin, ang mga Pilipino, they still value the bachelor's degree. But after that, for their continuing education, we would like to create a stackable type of credentialing for our post-baccalaureate degrees. They can start with one course, which they can get, for example, in our professional and continuing education program, which we call PAASE in CEU. They can accumulate that and get a certificate and add some more to get a diploma, and then add some more to get a master's degree. And they can do that over the length of time that they want, whatever it is that is necessary. So that's what we would like to work on. And I get, again here, since it's very easy now to invite people from overseas to be part of these programs, we would like to include you in these programs that we would like to do. We would also like to see to it that, to include these programs for our faculty development program. You know, in like many higher education institutions, it used to be that it's master's by any name. So what's the easiest master's degree? I don't want to denigrate educational administration, but really many of our faculty took that as a master's degree, and it was credited as any other master's degree. We changed that in CEU. Now, now we have a premium. If your graduate degree is aligned with the discipline that you are teaching or doing research in. So, merong additional number of steps in your promotion if you have an aligned degree program. And also, we have also changed our system for promotions so that we include this kind of degree programs as well as publications. You can no longer be a professor in CEU unless you have so many publications in Scopus journals especially, and all of that. So the other initiatives are very similar to what Esther and Beth have done. Kasi kung minsan nagkokopyahan din naman kami kung anong maganda sa iba, di kung pwede sa amin, gagayahin din namin. Wala na bang problema kasi magkakaiba naman kami kung minsan ng mga thrusts, no? Like for example, PIP, largely engineering, sa amin, health science. So, and that's how we help each other. And we really look forward to doing work with all of you. But there's one other thing that I'd like to do. And that is for basic education. And this one, I got the idea of this from my granddaughter. I found a bug in my garden that was a very beautiful bug. And I asked my granddaughter to please help me identify it. You know, she can always go to the internet. And then she answered me. She said, Lola, wait, I will ask my friend, anong tawag mo dun sa expert sa bugs. I will ask my expert friend. I said, what expert friend? Well, apparently she is part of this program, which is called Skype a Scientist. And so she talks with this. And at one point, she got interested in these big ants that form clusters of leaves and houses in trees. And so she was talking with this scientist in the US on her observations and learning more about this. So sana magkaroon tayo ng ganon para sa ating basic education for our grade school and high school students. My daughter, when she was doing this, was only in grade school. She's not yet even in college, but she Skypes the scientist that she works with. Sana meron tayong ganon. And that's what I'm asking my people in our Centro Escolar Integrated School to set up a program like that. And we hope that you can be part of that. But I would like to engage also scientists here in the Philippines, because our people, our students should know about coconut, about rice, about sugarcane. Why should we talk about wheat and other things when there are so many things to learn here in the Philippines? So yun po ang aming gustong magawa, marami. Research will still be there, yes. We are continuing with that, especially we engage a consultant to lead in our health science research program, because that is where the thrust is of the university. And we would also welcome mentors in that program as well. Marami pong salamat.
Well, wow, Tina, maraming salamat. I think first and foremost, what's outstanding is the genetic. So you are a family of educators. You know, it's 3 generations now of people committed to education. Okay, and so thank you so much for your sharing. And I'd like to recap that you are using Canvas, which is a learning management systems program involving blended learning, but now you have transitioned, you've segued smoothly.
All 4 of us.
Well, actually all of us, the 4 of us. All of us.
And more. And more.
Women, these trailblazing women, they know the value of cooperation, right? And they have each their own trust. The wage. So anyway, I think that's so great that you are actually already engaging with Coursera. This is something that I have been promoting. Yes. We should all look at these online courses available in the world and just use the curated ones, the well-curated ones. I'd like to add to this now the long list of talks in PAASE. So we just held our 40th APAMS and we had a rich conference of over 200 talks. And there alone, you can find your potential collaborators and mentors among the PAASE members and our other guests from that series of talks that we have. They're all online in our PAASE website. I'd also like to point out that we have a membership directory in our PAASE website. You can download that directory, you can sort it, there you will find the experts that you might need for your areas of interest and specialization. So that would be great. It's Tina, you one who focused on the education aspect, the pedagogy, and also I like this idea of yours where you are proposing a stackable certifications of credentials post-baccalaureate. It's nice to mention this because we have here with us CP David, former Fisher Director, PAASE member, and together CP and I are actually already drafting an S&T Human Capital Development paper for PAASE. And we are at the final stages of doing it. And we have this initiative or this proposal to have stackable certifications that would involve, it would have to involve the PRC, okay, your continuing education programs. Actually, they should be upgraded. We think that they should all be upgraded. Short of saying that we also need this same strategy for our books, and therefore it would also involve the TESDA. So I don't know how many of you have like tech offerings beyond K11, 12. Are you also looking at maybe the continuing education programs for TechVoc graduates as short-term programs? Linked to that also is professional master's programs. Finally, Tina, I think you did well to tell us about your faculty development programs, which would involve just not just getting their masters to become academic leaders, actually linking their management expertise with particular areas of specialization. Something that we had proposed actually for our own faculty in UP who had not earned their masters, had not earned their PhDs, but could very well earn them through the UPOU program for PhD programs, where they would specialize in biology and education focused on biology. So I think that that's so important, Tina, that you ended by what your granddaughter has done to identify the ants and the bags. The online Skype a scientist. Ideally, I think you should be able to do that just within the PAASE and the NAST. And it's just a matter of setting up the
we'll set it up
algorithm for it or the program for it. And we have some experts in PAASE who might be capable of doing that. So if that could be your advocacy, then we'll get more Filipino children to learn about coconut rice and sugar cane. So that's a fitting ending to our presentations of our 4 distinguished women presidents. At this point, I'd like to thank everyone for being with us. I'd also like to recognize Veronica Nigo, Dranrev Waniko, and others who have not been recognized yet. At this point, I'd like to open the floor to our discussion. And please raise your hand if you want to speak, and turn on your videos at this point, perhaps physical raising of the hand. If you turn on your video, it means you're actively participating and would like to ask a question. Just raise your hand and I will try to I will recognize you, and you would speak. Okay, so anybody for the first question? Al?
Well, thank you very much, guys, for presenting us a very encouraging and very well-meaning request for support for PAASE. And that's clearly to me my frustration after 2017 that we were not being able to, but luckily we were doing it with stride, especially as a testament of what's happening with TIP. Clearly, all those programs of stride was well adopted, improved and invigorated and implemented and executed well. And that's what happens when you have a leader like Beth and a son like Jello, whose main aspect is being able to indeed adopt best practices around the world. But it's nice to hear, Mom Tina, my mom is from CEU. She graduated pharmacy in 1952. She's a pharmacist. And of course, I'm very much encouraged with some of the earlier interactions with SMEC for me, with the Southern Manila Consortium. So my question is, how do we, it's a similar question that I've asked the latest PASOK meeting last week about how, as a group of private universities, how can we work like a symphony where we each have a role in the whole science and technology education as well as research ecosystem, and being able to play our part. I know we're all in some way competing against each other for revenues and for students as well, but I'm wanting to elevate the cooperation in the sense that if we at PAASE can be the glue or the coordinator or give us a role that unites you guys in a common fight, I would say, and we will be more than happy to do it rather than I mean, we can still do the individual visiting professors lectures and all of that stuff, but I'm wanting to elevate our discussion and cooperation and collaboration to a higher level where we have a functioning ecosystem. And this is a challenge, and I don't know how we can go about that. We can start probably with just getting to know each other's expertise and capabilities. But really, what I wanted to ask you is, how would you envision a collaboration amongst the four of you with PAASE in the middle, or a glue or a coordinator of some sort? That way, we can achieve more. One idea that I put forth with SMEC when Menchit Padilla was invited me to give a talk with the 12 universities is that we in SMEC had individual roles doing different things towards one common goal. And that being, say, if you're strong in research and manufacturing and hardcore engineering like TIP, okay, you make the device, but we deploy it with the healthcare efforts of both Carolyn and Tina, and then field tested it with the UE team of Ma'am Ester. So something to that effect, wherein there's a common. I mean, Doc Willie is my who I wanted to be when I grow up, and so is Doc Emil Javier. But clearly, to me, it's a new ball game for us now with the Zoom connection capability. We can all connect much faster, but the key issue is, how do we assess the effectiveness and impact and sustainability of these programs? And you guys can scale it because you have all the student capability in terms of implementing any intervention. So my question is, think along those lines, and beyond your own university, how can we all be together in this effort as a private and I would say very, very dynamic leaders of the private institutions that you head. Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Al. I think Carolyn, as immediate past PACU president, we'd like to hear from you first, and then the rest. Yeah.
Well, Giselle, what we did with PACU was try to address all our common issues together. So we formed some sort of consortia, especially when we needed virtual laboratory simulations. So we got together and then we engaged with Labster so that we were able to utilize Labster at a much lower cost, leveraging the number of students that we have under PACU. So from an initial, let's say, $50, we were able to bring it down really, really low using the numbers that we have in PACU. And then we also used our network to work with the telcos so that they could also create special internet packages for our students, in which they were all, well, in a way, they were able to deliver. In fact, there's also another part to that, and that is the Wi-Fi connection for free in our campuses, which the government failed to deliver.
Yeah. So, wow. So I think, Caroline, what you're saying here is it pays to be in the private sector. So you're bogged down by, bureaucracy, by procurement problems, etc. And with you as a dynamic, progressive leaders, you can make swift, wise decisions, and it gets done. Okay. So, I think that's a major advantage of the private HEIs. So other inputs from Beth, Tina, and Esther?
Yeah, relative to PACU, when we were faced with this online education issue, immediately PACU organized webinars where we shared our experiences, especially, CEU and I mean, Tina talked about her daughter working with me. She started working with me when we started on blended education. This was 2011. So it was Tina's daughter who assisted us to start blended education, blended learning. So, and we shared those experiences with our less experienced members. And Tina did the same thing, Carol, etc. So we do this, and I think this is something that we we can do. And I heard Al said earlier something about some prototypes that could be used. Well, three of us are health UE. Well, it's not UE, UERM. Fatima, of course, and CEU are all have health-related programs. So this is one thing which we have in common. If you are talking only of this small group, but if you are talking the whole of PACO, that's another story altogether.
We can start small and more proof of concept before we scale up.
Yeah. Well, these three. I mean, we all have health programs. The three have health programs, and of course, you mentioned TIP. TIP, of course, has its engineering program. So do we, but we still have. I am trying to work, for example, with we bought a 3D printer for our prosthetics program. So I am
dentistry.
Gobet Advincula. Yes.
No, for our prosthetics in
dentistry.
They are
actually, I did meet I meet your vice chancellor.
As big as
Esther, you can work on that with Gobet Advincula. You know?
Yeah, I already did, and he is working with them. He is partnering them with MIRDC of DOST. This is for, but so we can. I'm sure we can find some commonalities.
I think. Yes, I think Beth mentioned well her dream of a school of the future where teachers are luminaries, and then Beth also mentioned science and practice important. So you've all addressed the issue of the pedagogy, the online pedagogy, and that would deliver the content and the concepts and principles in basic sciences, etc. But then the practice part is the tough part. And so during this time, how do you intend to address this mens at manus thing, like MIT's hands and minds? So practice is so important. How are you going to train their students in practice, in the actual handling of instruments and the fabrication, etc.? So Beth, perhaps you can share with us your views on this.
With regard to the training in this technopreneurship mindsets and skills, we do have many programs. One is in conjunction with PhilDev and their ESIP project, where we've had a visiting Australian professor for 4 weeks now. She's gonna have her 4th session on Monday. And that's an example of what Tina said of short term, no? So she's going to give us the 4th session on Monday. And she has been able to share with a wider group of the TIP community, not just the engineering and computing programs, all about technopreneurship, mindsets, and skills. And then during the going back to remember we were together in the STRIDE webinar, or rather seminar. I mentioned that there was a slide there about the support of PAASE members as technical mentors for improved STEM research agenda and systems in the PASE roadmap and etc. about organizational assessment, change management, operations and implementation, result-based monitoring and evaluation. Whatever PAASE might be doing for the PASOK group, you might also want to do for the PACO group, because Richard did say that maybe the conversation can also be between PAASE and the PACO group. So I think that is one possibility. Let's say we can have we can package something that will benefit on a bigger scale, the whole PACO.
I think
with on board.
It is important. It's one of the reasons we're holding this chat, because with Richard Abendana of STRIDE, we're going to sign a MOA with STRIDE to embark on this academic and technical leadership training in the SUPs, right? And so why why shouldn't we do it for the private HIs? And it looks like you're able to get things done fast because again, you make the investment, the monetary investment when needed. So you've invested in the Abbott accreditation, and now you're getting field dev consultants. That's the Dado Banato group. And
Yes, that's right.
they had a package, what a steep fee that I think Shed could not, justify spending for, and they were requesting this, a compensation for their consultants. And so at some point, Dado Banato and the field dev just turned their backs on Shed. I mean, I'm aware of that incident. I think Joe Cruz is too. So it looks like, there are great prospects among the private HEIs because you make the investment where you think it counts, okay? So that's your big advantage. I think that's important. Foresight is important, seeing the future, and not just for the short term, but also for the medium term and the long term. What is the trajectory? And that seems to be in your visions as women presidents. Maybe we can hear from our other, Raymond Tan is raising his hand.
Hi, good morning, everyone. First of all, I'm happy that to hear from you about your publications picking up. Personally, I've been worried about the Philippine scientific output. Yeah, the entire country produces approximately as much as University of Malaya every year, just one big Malaysian university. So it really has to be done across the entire tertiary education ecosystem. And one of the ways by which PAASE can help, I don't think we're doing as good a job of reaching out outside of the organization. So this is a good step one. We have, for example, every Friday a topical webinar, which is held 8 to 10 a.m. And then we have RECs, RECs. That sounds bad, but the RECs are actually organized around research clusters. So for instance, we have the computing cluster, and we're planning various tutorial events, which we would like to open up to interested students throughout the Philippines. So maybe is there a way, Giselle, by which we can make it better known outside of the family?
Well, now we should always include you in our announcements, but yes, we will start the REC-based class webinars, Raymond, on November 12 on economics, and afterwards it's chemistry and biochemistry. So I will start off by sending the 4 presidents our list of members under the RECs. Okay, I have that list, but then we're gonna have another new 60 members, I think, by next year, early next year. So, we're growing PAASE. It's now almost 400, and we'll be growing this indefinitely. That's why we've had to organize as clusters, research expertise clusters. So I think that's great that you mentioned that, Raymond. And there might be other comments. Tina, do you have something to say about the symphony that Al is referring to? Yeah. Please unmute. Tina, please unmute.
I
Yes.
muted myself because the dog was barking a lot. Do you already have a commitment from our PAASE members as to how they would like to contribute? Like, for example, of course, some of us are inclined and would be much rather working on research. Yes. Some would be helping a lot in instruction. So if people can make that kind of a commitment, or they can do both, of course, because I'm sure can do both. And if we can have that kind of list along with the expertise that they have, the specializations that they have, and if that can be given to us, then along with their emails, of course, then we can get resource persons from there. So kung meron sana po yun, baka meron na, you already are speaking about, but I think we need a commitment from them that it's research that I am most interested to work in. with the people in the Philippines, or I'm more inclined to do instruction or other things.
So,
Thank you.
Before I ask Al to speak, yes, Tina, that is available in our directory, available in our website. But aside from that, I can also give you the list of REC members. Now, for individual commitments, you would need to look for the persons who might be.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, and then
from the list,
sign a MOA with PACU or with your universities, and then say that we will try to move this forward, just to make it a little bit more formal. Nothing, too difficult to implement, complicated. But bottom line is, you need the individual experts. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So we would be matching them with you. Al, yes.
Yeah, actually, that's the word, matching. We're like matchmakers, Doc Tina, in the sense. But we need a conversation. But you need to be able to connect and also feel each other out. Kasi when I came back here as a balik scientist in 2013, of course, I didn't realize that I wanted to help everyone. So I signed MSUIT, 3 IT RDIs of DOST, UP, LaSalle, everyone. Not knowing na lahat pala kailangan pumirma dun sa kontrata. It took like 9 months to get the contract done. But for me, it would have been shorter to say, okay, I'll talk to Tina. What are you doing in CEU? Let's have the list. Okay, we have these people that are interested in this area. We blasted out to them. Guys, Doc Tina's looking for healthcare, pharmacy, pharmacology, antimicrobial activity, research. You want to help out? Okay, and then, okay, talk to her directly. And then you guys have a meeting of the minds. Then the contract can follow afterwards. But I think we need both parties to be able to communicate first in order to show both commitments. But I think today it starts because you already showed what you have, but in greater detail, probably an exchange of information. So I agree with Giselle. He's been asking me to do external affairs. I'm waiting for Stride to set out the MOA so that we can include NRCP, PACO, and the PASOK, all of them, because we want to help everyone, guys. I mean, if there's anything about us, we're volunteers, and we just want everyone to benefit in the agglomeration of knowledge, if you want to call it that way. So yes, but I would need you to step up also to the plate in the sense that being able to engage the same way Beth has engaged with TIP, and I'm really glad that it bore fruit for TIP, and they're continuing to grow. And I wanted to see that same effect in CEU, in Fatima, and of course, UE as well, in terms of the healthcare related activities. Because regulatory, we're now, I'm a consultant for UP system, and we've been doing a lot of UP Manila, UP and Diliman developments and medical. And we're now to the point where we have prototypes, we have MVPs, the same way I mentioned to Jello. Regulatory and FDA and HTAC of DOH is now the next milestone that we need to be able to break through in order to get impact, implementation, and use of our devices. So eventually you guys will follow the same problem. So I'm hoping we can do this. I'm very excited.
Well, I'm happy to tell you, I have the MOA draft from USAID Stride. So we're going to take a look at it. Okay. So now we could do it with a PACU, or we could do it with your individual universities. I think at this point, I'd like to hear it from Joe Cruz, because you already have models of engagement with the PAASE members, and Beth and Tirso Ronquillo of BSU. We'd like Joe to speak, and now towards the young ones, Yanni and Earl Grand Rep, Juanico. Yes.
Okay. The only thing I would like to say, although you featured 4 female leaders in private education, I would say they are leaders. They are the leaders in our private enterprise. So I'm really impressed, and I wish all of you well. And hopefully we have greater collaboration, not only with PAASE, but perhaps in a greater ecosystem.
Fantastic, Joe. Thank you for bringing to the fore the female quality of the leaders. It's just all, I guess, women are multitaskers, And the mothers, they take good care of all their children in different ways. Each child is unique. Tolerance, initiative to take good care of them. So the insights are different coming from women. I'd like to read out the comment of who says that president and the future seems bright. So at this point, I'd like to hear from Gani Padolina and how he's not just moving forward with Pascal Pharma and linkages with the PAASE HRD, but how now he's working on, say, the development of some medical devices or projects with Angelo Lahoz of TIP. Gani?
Hello, ma'am. Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, it's great to hear from. Like I was telling you earlier, the arc to a better society is sharper with our women leaders. So one of the things that we realized at Pascual is that we can't do R&D alone, and it takes a village. It takes an ecosystem that we've been developing for the past decade to move things forward, and that's why we try to collaborate with different institutions like TIP. So I think one of my biggest obstacles right now is really capacity. Capacity in terms of brain horsepower. I think we can tap that with our coordination with different universities, but also you're challenged with different objectives, right? I think they're complementary, but they still take energy away from the focus of what we want to do. So I'd like to just put a question out there. What are the initiatives in your universities to increase capacity in terms of scientific talent and also international talent? Because we are not the only ones hunkering for talent, right? Other countries are too. So I'd like to just put it out there.
Yes. So who would like to start? Esther?
Maybe Nanay can answer first.
Oh, Nanay.
Nanay. Si Nanay. Well, we took advantage really of the K-12 transition program of CHED, and we sent many of our faculty members to study with that program. And we saw to it that they will not study in CEU, of course. They studied in other universities. So we invested in them because CHED would frequently, their allowances, for example, were always late and all those delays. So we advanced their stipends for them. So that they can finish. So yun ang isa. And because we really think that, yes, it's very important that we have good faculty. Kasi baka wala kaming capability to accept collaboration. Kasi hindi naman kayo makikikollaborate dun sa wala din namang maibibigay, may contribute. So kailangan mapalakas din namin. So we're of course, doing our own support. And also we have, what do you call this? Exchanges, faculty exchange with other universities, largely here in Southeast, in Asia, rather, Japan, Korea, and Indonesia. Right now, our collaboration with Indonesia is more where they need us rather than they giving to us, because they send their faculty and their students to take up courses in us. So they cross-register actually in CEU courses, these Indonesian students and faculty. But it's a good, it's maybe at this point, they're the ones asking for help. At some point or in another area, we will also be able to get their help. we fall in asking somebody from the embassy, Indonesian embassy, their Bahasa language. So that's some of the things that we are doing.
So inbreeding is not as good as cross-fertilization, right? So I think it's so important.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really wanted to remove from the university, the inbreed.
Yes, yes. So I hope that PAASE can help with cross-fertilization. So we just have to work out the mechanics, Al, right? So here we have great prospects, and decision making is efficient and swift, and it's always in the right direction, because I think the private universities cannot afford to make a mistake with their they're earning the money.
Can I just add one thing? Sometimes it cannot be avoided, especially those who have ongoing master's and PhD programs that are already studying in CEU. So what we would like to do is for them to cross-enroll in another university, even for 1 or 2 courses, to enrich their program, so that not all of their courses are done in CEU. And if we can have invite some of our experts to co-teach, to team teach with our faculty, that would really improve our graduate programs.
So Tina, used to be, well, during the time of Joe, Esther, there was like this PhD consortium, say in math, in chemistry, and
yes,
now,
LaSalle, Ateneo, and UP, and UST, I think.
UST, and you would have students from the other universities. Perhaps now, rather than that, what could be is this, idea of just cross-enrollment across universities for specialized graduate courses. Because I think nowadays it's quite specialized. And so you would want your students, your faculty, to hear it best from the experts. And there are some of them, or many of them, in PAASE. We have the greatest number of experts of Philippine descent here and in US and elsewhere in the world. Okay, but then why would you have your program in your university? Because you want them to earn their degrees perhaps along the thrusts of your university. They're going to be your faculty, right? So it may be another mode these days, no longer the PhD consortia of 20 years ago. But then again, that might be well contested by Esther and Father Ben and others, because for something as fundamental as mathematics, PhD in mathematics, masters in mathematics, I think PhD consortium might work still. Okay, so I think that having heard from Gani Padolina, we might as well hear from one of the star faculty of the TIP, came from the UP National Institute of Physics. And thank you for joining TIP. Earl, Reb.
Hi, hello. Good morning po, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, I've been lucky to be with TIP in the last 5 years or so, and I think it's this drive of the institution to be a contributor to nation building, and through engineering. So, I've tried to help out the young engineers then. So there are, and I think only TIP has that item so far from all the universities I've worked with before, an item called a research engineer. So it's like a faculty member, but they are assigned to do purely just research and development. So we've been able to work out a lot of work in prototyping, different kinds of devices, through this kind of talent that we are now developing in TIP. So I'm quite lucky to find synergy with the direction that TIP wants to go, and of course also trying to share my experiences as well from the physics community, from where I came, and then the merger between the academic mindset, where okay, it's all about publications, it's all about sharing knowledge to peers, and then you have that engineering mindset as well, which is building technology out of scientific concepts. So I think I found a home in that kind of environment. So there you go. And yes, for all the things that I've heard from the leaders who shared, especially our president, Dr. Beth Lahoz. So I guess I think I have probably just one question, because like now I see an opportunity that all educational institutions across the world are now being forced into a new way of doing things. Like it's not really the traditional teaching anymore, but then you also have to have a culture that is inherently trying to solve problems like the one that we are facing now. So how do we sort of repackage the curricula or the courses that we have been traditionally teaching in the classrooms into something that will inculcate that problem solving, critical thinking, creative, because you know the 21st century skills, you have the 4 C's. So you have the collaboration, you have critical thinking, creativity, and then you have what is the other one? I forgot. But these elements, they're not naturally in the courses that we teach, but it's probably the way we do the teaching that needs to be revolutionized, I guess. So maybe in your own ways, how do you perceive transforming the educational landscape so that it will actually address these 21st century skills that are so needed, especially today and maybe in the near future? I mean, especially with issues about climate change, the long-term ones. And we have the new generation of talents that are there who will become the leaders of tomorrow. And so they have to have that kind of mindset already from the present time. So I would like to hear, some ideas on that as well from your
Fantastic, Reb. I think the lines of thinking there that you raised, one is really CCC, but then perhaps it's social cultural, and there might be some obstacles or humps that have to overcome in the education of Filipinos because of the social cultural roots of particularly science and math education in the Philippines. So we'd like to hear from our presidents. Later, I will point out one problem that I had discussed with Beth earlier, having to do with our poverty, hunger, malnutrition, food productivity, food security. And for that, I will be calling Nina Cadiz. We would need people who are invested in producing equipment that would be important in agriculture, aquaculture, food harvest, post-harvest. And we know everywhere in the world, including Vietnam, you have automation, semi-automation, or agricultural machines. I think there has to be a major investment in this, because food and nutrition are also what are most critical to contributing to our health or to our disease today. So I think that's important. So I would like to hear from our presidents, and later perhaps Nina Cadiz could also speak. Thank you. Any inputs from Beth? Beth?
Yeah. First of all, may I not answer your question first? I wanted to acknowledge Gani Padolina, the son of Tina Padolina, because he brought us our first cradle ever project with Reb. And so they're studying, it's also a data analysis in a way, right? So we're very happy with our partnership with Gani, and we are grateful for his abundance mentality in partnering with us. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Gani. Anyway, as I explained earlier, I'm answering the earlier question. The thrust in TIP is really, in a way, we're veering away from publications. I'm sorry to say that, because our thrust is really applied practical research. Not that we are not publishing, but it is not our primordial goal. Our goal is to be able to solve problems, and that way, we don't have to publish it right away. Okay? And so we are doing applied research, as I explained earlier, and we don't just do it internally. We work around the inside the ecosystem by involving industry partners and other academicians. So that is where we are headed, and that is how we plan to address the question of Gani a while ago of how to level up our preparations for our people in the sciences. So for example, for the SIGLA ventilator project, we involved there full-time, no teaching load, not the loading. It's full-time. They work through the whole pandemic. One electronics engineer and one computer engineer who are both faculty of TIP with full salary. So that's an example of leveling up and maybe pushing the envelope forward some more by engaging people inside and then by giving them training, exposing them to the PAASE medical doctor and to all the other contacts that we've had with the project. It's a whole Philippine project actually. And so just by the exposure already, that should already add to their own mindsets and their own value. So the value addition from, again, to hark back to my request earlier, the value addition from PAASE as partners would really be great. As a way to answer Gani's question. So with regard to the production of devices, I was explaining earlier that we do have a spectroscope project. It's already a spectroscope. I mean, we're just using a spectroscope, but it's meant to, for example, determine the maturity of cacao pods to help the farmers. So it is along what you mentioned about food security and food sufficiency. So with the spectroscope, they're not supposed to harvest those that are not yet good, and they will not allow those that are supposed to be good already to be not harvested. So it means optimality in their operations. Thank you.
Those are the types of projects I think that should be pursued. They're biosensor related. They're optics. They're of course, data science, analytics. So, anybody else would like to speak among our presidents before I request Nina Cadiz of the UP Los Baños? She is the REC chair of the agriculture plant food cluster of co-chair of that in the PAASE. Perhaps Nina can speak? Yes? Nina?
Yes, good morning. Good morning. Good morning to our trailblazers, the women trailblazers from various universities. And I'm very happy to see my former professor, where is she? Prof. Padolina, and my former student, Manny. Nice seeing you here. I'm so happy to hear about your plans, and I think you've been doing that already with respect to collaborations, no? Not only with private universities, but also with state universities like UP. And I think UP, especially UP Los Baños, has much to offer, especially in the area of food security. Huh? It's not because you're in the entrepreneurship, technology, and so on, that food security cannot come in. We can really collaborate in terms of nanotechnology, in terms of landscape gardening, landscape gardening, or urban gardening. This is an in now, especially with this pandemic. We really need to beef up with food around, no? So, well, there are really lots to offer here from UPLB. And I think it's time that UPLB be there with you. It's part of UP's mandate to really extend their expertise. So that's all for now. And I see here our former president.
So yeah, Nina, thank you. That is you know, timely to offer
Yeah.
collaborations with UP Los Baños professors and researchers, particularly the ones in PAASE, but not necessarily within the PAASE. Okay, so if you need some collaborators from UP Los Baños, please email Nina Cadiz.
Yes.
So all the information is in our membership directory. So former President Pascual may be in another meeting, actively participating there, but he's listening to our discussions. But I think what's important here now is to again stress the importance of what we call experimental quantitative science. So whatever it is that you're going to develop, Beth, whether or not you'll publish your research, okay, that's only one of the uh, outputs of knowledge creation. We think, Raymond and I, we still believe that before you can offer something to the private sector or even to government, your products, your systems, your services, I think should have been developed by faculty researchers who had proven themselves to be, competent in doing this, say among their peers, and that is the purpose of the publication. It's peer-reviewed work, okay? And it's best if it's international because then you get your work to be read by the international community, and they can really actually be a source of other collaborations, okay? But at this point, because we're running late, and thanks so much for your time, Beth will speak, again. I just wanted to promote again a project that was implemented in UP with funding from UP and the DOST, but it actually originated from PAASE. And this is the VISER, Versatile Instrumentation for Science, Research, and Education, developed by Mel Gomez, former president of the PAASE, with Gani Tapang, current dean of the College of Science of UP Diliman. And it consists of a box where you have maybe 40 instruments consisting of an Arduino microprocessor that can be linked to sensors to measure pH, temperature, oscillation, pressure, etc. And then the readout is in a computer. And it comes with 4 lab manuals, okay, in chemistry, biology, physics, and engineering. And so we're trying to promote this with the SUCs, with the DepEd, and also with the private sector, including the private HEIs, because it's suitable for education, K-11, STEM education, and also for primary and secondary, freshman and sophomore levels of science education. This is what I'm saying. Practice is needed, okay? Now, you'll say it's still challenging because of the online situation we have now. Well, actually, we're already asking Mel and Gani to develop videos on how the equipment can be used. And the thing with this equipment is because there's resistance from the faculty themselves to use the VISER. The first people we will have to train to use the VISER would be the teachers themselves. You know how it's in the labs, Ma'am Esther? There is an aversion for our own faculty and our students to use the equipment, to use the instruments. Nowadays, if you want to know how to learn to use the instrument, you ask your RA, you ask your graduate student to do it, because the project leaders no longer have the hands-on experience with the instruments. But anyway, VISER, I think, would be game-changing. In the Philippines, it's very affordable, and it can be a shared equipment, first through the online videos that will be developed, and secondly, this could be used in turns by groups of faculty and students. So I think an investment in STEM education at the secondary senior level, K-11, 12, but also at the junior level, because many of your universities have the whole basic education from a primary to a secondary, from the junior high, which is when you will get your students to go to the STEM track. Grade 7 to 10 would be the formative years. It's where you will inculcate, interest in science or interest in.
We are convinced. Just give us the detail online. Okay. So by email, you can tell us where to get it.
Where to get it? Oh, yeah. So we would manufacture a certain number of the visor units, and then we would get on a training program, first online, and then eventually, with the
okay.
All right. So yes, Tina, and then I think Beth. Yes.
I have some really good science teachers in the senior high school. So,
yeah. Kung ayaw hindi ma-adapt, we cannot get that deal done with the DepEd. Again, there's a lot of bureaucracy. And so, we should go to the private sector.
Hindi mo kailangan DepEd para sa amin.
Exactly.
Ito na kami.
Minsan hindi rin, sorry, hindi rin kailangan DepEd.
No, I mean,
Kailangan ng cooperation among you. If it's worth the investment, you'll make it, right? Yeah, without batting an eyelash. So that's great. Yes.
Yeah, this is the kind of collaboration that I'm speaking of, where you guys all benefit. In UP, we've been trying to push for Visor for the last 5 years as part of the UP Technology Transfer and Business Development. The only adapter that we got was a Congressman Yu of Zamboanga, who had ordered 100 units for his locality, but has since been able to do the pilot scale production, not yet full scale manufacturing, which is again the next stage of being able to economically make the product. But as educators and users of such technology, definitely you can participate in the field testing, validation, and verifications of the products that are being developed wherever, whenever, and wherever in the Philippines as a part of a collaborative effort to upscale our capabilities in developing our own devices. Kasi yun ang problema natin. We're not cooperating enough so that we can actually be not only food security, but technology secure as well. And to me, that this is a good example of that. I just want to highlight that. Thank you for the interest that Giselle plugged on the Visor.
Yes, so important. And, we have these 40 instruments out. We've been, pushing this for a long time. And there are inputs from our educators in biology, faculty of UP. There are lab manuals already. You can test the instruments. Okay, so I think it's so important. Could be game changing.
The Magkano part is the tough part.
No. Alexa is willing to manufacture it for so much. We're pushing this with the UP Diliman Engineering Foundation, where I participate very, very, strongly because they believe in Visor. So
how about SEI? Are you able to convince them?
We should do SEI, other. But no, we want to start with the 4 women presidents. I want to read an former president, Pascual.
Akala ko, bibiliin ko na lang off the shelf. Hindi pala, gagawin pa.
Hindi. Bibilin na off the shelf.
Meron na.
Okay.
I'm encouraged by what I heard. PAASE should proceed with vigor its support for private universities, starting with the 4 represented in this chat by very dynamic lady presidents. And I think he's one who believes in, generations, businesses that flourish through the generations of its owners. Kasi may continuity. See, the successive generations, take on the legacy from their parents and grandparents. Ang laking advantage nun. So I think it's important for our 4 women presidents to move forward. May I give you the indicative cost of a Visor kit, or it's a box. It's only 40,000 pesos, maybe 50,000 pesos. Because we have to add your training component. See?
Very good.
Happy to share this. Yes. We even already proposed it to the Gokongwei Brothers Foundation, and they're looking into it. Okay, including the use and the manufacture of it at a lower cost.
Do you have like an information sheet about this so that we can distribute?
You can online it. You can check Visor.
I'll get it for you, Tina and Caroline. Whoever's interested, just send an email to the website. I'll get the full information.
Please.
And I'll hook in Gani Tapang as well.
Gani Tapang.
I'll put in Gani Tapang in that. Caroline, you were...
Yes, my concept is you have a visor, and what we need moving forward, what we need would be videos, teaching videos for our students. We can utilize these visors and then choose among the subjects that we can offer using this among the four of us, and then with the help of PAASE, maybe create a video and use it for our students moving forward.
That's where it's headed, Caroline.
That can be our first project.
Yeah, that's where it's headed, Caroline. We're preparing the videos, but initially it will be Gani who will be doing the video on how to use the equipment. And then we will have the specialists, those who do the experiments in biology, in chemistry. You know, we put them together, the faculty in biology, chemistry, and engineering and physics, who would, be able to share this online.
Yeah, and maybe since we created the videos together among us for universities, we can share it and put it as part of our learning.
We can share it together.
That would be great. So this is really the way to go, and there's no other way at this point. And then I suppose it would have to be blend, your staggered coming to your labs, to your fab labs. At some point, it will open up, right?
Sorry, I have to go. I have a 10 a.m. tech transfer meeting as well. But thank you very much. I'll stay in touch with everyone. Giselle, thank you.
Thanks, I'll send you. So it's very nice show of your support and the interest in Visor. And I think that's a fitting ending to our very, very exciting, stimulating, and constructive meeting. Any last words from our presidents? Tina, you have something to say?
Just to thank you, Giselle, and thank you to the other members of PAASE for this. We really hope we can make this a dynamic connection.
Yes, we will do this.
Very much
and
so.
if you're interested, well, maybe I'll let you know that the next Fireside Chat being planned, and I have a pre-planning meeting, is actually the AIM. The AIM is a leading edge, so in data science. And
we will go to the Fireside Chat, but we would like to do action.
Exactly, but I'll show you because you have to
Sorry.
see what action they're already doing in AI. They're students. They're already developing products. Okay, so you can learn from them.
I am sending people to the AIM thing because, as I said, we want to develop.
We got Chris Motorola and Erica Legara there, UP people who are really transforming AIM. They're the biggest program, and they have a capstone fund of 500 million from Aboitiz, and they've just launched their PhD in data science program. That's worth taking. And very, very high standards, as high as UP or even higher. Publications then. Beth had something to say. I think she raised her hand.
Yeah. I just wanted to correct what I said earlier. Our people are actually doing design optimization and field testing of a dielectric spectroscope for evaluating cacao pod maturity. So I wanted to also share this with Nina. They're not using a gadget that's out there. They developed the gadget themselves.
Fantastic.
And so we plan to have a TBI and an incubator in conjunction with the DOST about this this clean technology and innovation. So you wanted some last words? Well, of course, we are honored to be here, and we thank you, and we look forward to the collaborations with PAASE.
Fantastic, Beth. And I have to say that if you file IP, that's also knowledge creation, and that's also protecting knowledge. So important in our country. So there's an article written by national scientist Raul Tabella on the overvalued peso at 48.5. And that then makes importation, I think, very, very easy. Okay, and then it kind of dampens our own knowledge creation and product development. Okay, so we say that what we really need is a great input of our own, knowledge creation for value added. Okay, so that we are able to export our products just like Vietnam is doing, and it all boils down to science and math. So Vietnam is famous for producing the best mathematics students who win international competitions. And I think that's now so important. Mathematics, statistics, computing capability, as well as the web sciences. We need to learn how to deal with nature, to just support food production and all that stuff. Take care of our environment. So I think with that, I'd like to thank again every woman president who's been here for your generous share of your visions and how you're implementing them. And I hope that I have actually identified 4 or 5 points for moving forward. But hopefully you will be joining us, or some of your faculty will be joining us in our future Fireside Chats. We will plan one with Riza Mantari, okay? But I need to have Cora Claudio there as well, because again, it's not all about data science. Yes, you need to move forward, say, on the blue economy, okay, or the green economy, okay, and taking care of our national resources capital, okay, which would be probably we develop those what would be we'd be able to develop uniquely with high value, okay, because if not the input of our own scientists and engineers, academics, our knowledge creators, and the natural resources we have, hindi naman tayo makakapag-produce ng high value added products for export. Export-driven manufacturing, like all our ASEAN neighbors have done, okay, before us, and now Vietnam is already overtaking us. Okay, so yeah, that's a sad state of our. We're now relying on leadership from the private sector for PPPs, not only from industries, private industries. I think private HEI is critical at this point in the life of our nation. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a good day. And I'm sorry that it's taken 2 hours.
That's good. Thank you, Giselle. Thank you to everyone.
Giselle.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Tina, Beth, and Carol, I'll call you regarding the 11:30 meeting. I mean 1:30 meeting on basic education.
Sure, sige.
The 1:30 meeting?
Oo, basic education, GASPE.
Is GASPE.
Okay. Wala akong link yata doon.
Okay lang, I'll talk with you about it.
Okay.
Sige.
Common position.
Okay.
You want a Zoom link?
Thank you.
You want a Zoom?
Ha?
Gusto mong Zoom?
Malaki ng impact talaga.
Mag-Zoom na lang tayo ngayon.
Sige. My Zoom is free, so I mean to say, I think
Carol, ikaw na mag-invite.
You cannot invite now because I have another meeting. I cannot be the host now because I have another meeting. I can listen into both.
Anyway, I just want to make sure that we are all on the same page. Okay?
Baka, Tina, can you,
2 minutes, guys. Pwede ba, Giselle, ituloy na namin dito?
Giselle, na lang namin to.
2 minutes.
Can you let us use this for now?
So let me know.
Okay.
Before I will end the meeting, please go ahead.
There's a basic education meeting this afternoon sa Congress. Okay. Roman Romulo has a bill on GASPE, including elementary. So including hindi na lang high school. So I will definitely support that, right? Okay, I'm sure you will not disagree. Okay?
GASPE for?
Elementary.
Sorry, again.
Elementary.
Okay. Tina,
yes.
GASPE.
Actually, I was not going to attend until I saw the bill, and then I said, I better show up. Okay,
yes, please attend for us.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Definitely.
I have a link. I'll send you the link, Tina. I'll send you the link so you can attend.
Sige, I'll try and see. Oo, meron kasi akong 30 rin. Alam mo naman niya.
Oo, busy nga.
Patong-patong.
Apat yung akin ngayon. O sige.
Ako ngayon, dalawa, nagdodoble.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much, Giselle.
Wait, Tina. What did you want to meeting yesterday?
Next time, bye-bye. I'll end it now. I'll end it.